Assalamu alaikum and very warm good evening everyone. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. I am Dr. Firoz Khan, Assistant Professor at School of Pharmacy. On behalf of Anjuman-I-Islam Kalsaka Technical Campus, New Panvel, extend my warm welcome to all dignitaries, resource persons, faculty members, participants from different colleges across the India to fifth day of 1 week AICTE-IST sponsored refresh program on multidisciplinary and translational drug development. To start with, as an traditional of Anjuman-I-Islam, I request Professor Abu Sufyan Sheikh sir to recite few verses from Holy Quran.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Firoz. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وآتوا اليتامى أموالهم ولا تتبدلوا الخبيث بالطيب ولا تأكلوا أموالهم إلى أموالكم إنه كان حوبا كبيرا. The translation is, and give to the orphans their properties, and do not substitute the defective of your own for the good of their, and do not consume their properties into your own. Indeed, that is ever a great sin. Sadaqallahul Azim.
Thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan Sheikh. These verses from Holy Quran and chapter Al-Nisa are worth implementing in our life. Yesterday, we had very interactive and engaging 4 sessions on modeling and simulation concepts. Session 1 was about introduction and basic information of PK/PD models by Dr. Krishna Iyer sir. Second and third sessions were about use of modeling and simulation at various stages of drug development by Dr. Kinjal Sangvi and Dr. Amit Roy. In last, we were having most interesting session, that is panel discussion, and for which we are having with us very eminent guest, Dr. Michael from BMS USA. Going ahead, today we are having very interesting session on breakthrough in drug delivery technologies, application of 3D printing. For this session, we are having with us eminent resource person, Dr. Tahir Ansari. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Tahir Ansari, sir. Dr. Tahir Ansari is presently working as an associate professor at School of Pharmacy, University of Nottingham, Malaysia. He has worked with various reputed national and international institutes like NIPER, India, Amity University, India, and University Kuala Lumpur, Royal College of Medicine, Perak, Malaysia. Dr. Tahir is a pharmacist by profession, and his research area focuses on enhancing bioavailability of drugs. He is also involved in conducting public health survey studies on vaccination and immunization. At present, he is working on curcumin and resveratrol to improve its pharmacological effects for for lung cancer treatment. With this brief introduction, I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Tahir Ansari sir and request him to start with this session. Dr. Tahir Ansari sir, it's over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, perfectly audible, sir.
Thanks a lot for the introduction, and thanks a lot, Dr. Sharik, for inviting me for this particular workshop. Though we have been speaking for this for quite long, so thanks a lot for the invitation. So I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so my topic for today is basically for 3D printing. And 3D printing has been in news for quite some time, especially in a sense that we can think of having a personalized medicine. I was not into this particular field, but uh, there was considerable interest in me when I saw the lab in Nottingham. The lab is called as Active Manufacturing Unit, and there are a lot of things happening where the polymer is supposed to be synthesized on one go. And I was quite impressed looking at the way the things have been, but they have been doing this for their own purpose, particularly for the mechanical field. And then I had an idea exactly why can't I use it for my own purpose of building up a drug delivery system with at home and with at ease. So this 3D printing, to me, even though it's quite new, is still there are plenty of research is supposed to be done, but still, to me, it looks like this is a very good avenue for us to have something we call it as personalized medicine. So I'll go into the detail. So as far as the definition is concerned, uh, 3D printing, by virtue, by looking at the word itself, you can see that it's actually a three-dimensional solid objects which can be printed as the way we use a normal printing thing. But it's a 3D. So if you have a 3D, then it's actually an object. It's not a picture of the object. So you can have an actual object uh, using a printer, which we call it as 3D printer. So with 3D printer, this is just an example. Exactly, you can have an actual object. You can print whatever you want as far as your printer supports it. So there are few if and buts since the technology is quite new, especially when we speak in terms of drug delivery system. There are plenty of things supposed to be researched and supposed to be it's supposed to be done so that we can come to a conclusion that yeah, this particular mechanism, this particular method can be used to synthesize a drug delivery system. Now, having said that, uh, if we go back to our original concept of pharmaceuticals, where pharmaceutical industries are involved, these pharmaceutical industries does a bulk manufacturing. That product will come into the market. It is supposed to be used in general by anybody, irrespective of exactly what is the status of the patient. I mean, does he want, for example, if I say 500 milligram of paracetamol, if the patient is supposed to have a paracetamol based on weight, he has to, he has to break the tablet so that it is according to his weight. But if we have a 3D printer, there is every possibility that we can have our own paracetamol depending our own need. So that's exactly the touching point is. And with the way things are changing, I don't see uh, any issue if every household is going to have a 3D printer so that they can actually print their own medicines. Now, coming back to personalized medicine, uh, this is quite an interesting topic and it is quite broad, but still very primitive because a lot of things is supposed to be established when we speak of personalized medicine. Now, whenever we say personalized medicine, it is supposed to be personal, tailored for individual patient so that he gets the best response. And in terms of response, not only in terms of response, but the drug is supposed to be of highest grade of safety, and hence it will ensure a better patient care. Now, if all these things, I can say that being a pharmacist, I won't say that the present system doesn't ensure these things. It does ensure there is plenty of research being done, but you know, it is still not personalized. It is for the generic public. Paracetamol, Calpol, Panadol, all this is for a generic public. We don't know exactly how our phenotype is. Now, this personalized medicine is largely related to the person, phenotype characteristics of the body. When I say phenotypes, if we are able to define our phenotype characters, example, if I'm able to define my genes, my status of genes, and if somebody is having a diabetes, possibly now it is ensured, it's already been proved that diabetes is a genetic mutation. And so far, if the research is supposed to be considered, there are 10 mutations which has been earthed so that we can figure out exactly what is the thing which has mutated, which has allowed the insulin or the body to get resistant towards insulin, or maybe the body is supposed to, I mean, it's not secreting insulin. So there is some kind of mutation. So far, uh, if I refer to the literature, there are 10 kinds of mutation which has been reported, which is responsible for the condition called as diabetes. Now, if we have these conditions and we are able to redo that mutation, possibly uh, we can take care of the diabetes. Or if not, if we are not able to take care of the diabetes, it means if diabetes is not treatment, at least we can have a system, a drug delivery system, which can ensure that we are not depending on insulin. So this is quite feasible. There is one research which has shown that if a patient on insulin can be converted to sulfonyl ureas if he is able to check exactly what is the mutation which has happened in the body. So this is called as personalized medicine, but it is essential for us to qualify or to quantify our phenotype, exactly how we look in terms of genes and in terms of genetic makeup. If that is possible, the second disease which is widely researched is cystic fibrosis. So far, uh, it is possible that in near future, we are going to have a personalized treatment for cystic fibrosis. With 3D printing techniques, we can have polypills. Of course, compatibility is supposed to be considered, but there is a chance that old age people who are supposed to have a number of drugs, but all those drugs are supposed to be, from this pharmaceutical company, from the other pharmaceutical company. Hopefully, if everything is compatible, then the person can have a polypill all in a single tablet. And one of the technique which is available with 3D printing is called as layered tablets. Uh, at the moment, if I say the advancement of personalized medicine and 3D printing, at the moment where actually it is, so it is still at a 2D stage. We call it as films. So it is the 3D printer have been able to print a film which is soluble. We call it a soluble films. So at the moment we are at that stage. There are a few. I think there is one medicine which has been patented and which is already in the market. It is supposed to treat epilepsy, and that is also available as a fast dissolving tablet or a oral dispersible tablet. Now, there is a reason exactly why so far 3D printing have been capable of doing films and have been capable of doing oro disposable tablets and not the normal tablets. So we'll look into detail because the condition is it is still at a very primitive stage as far as the stability issues are concerned. Okay, so there are few techniques which are available in the market. Uh, the first technique, I mean, if as a layman person, if I am supposed to explain, I would say that 3D printing also follows the same concept of printing such as inkjet and laser. As inkjet is supposed to be having a liquid ink and that is supposed to be printed on the paper. Laser is mostly a solid powder which is melted and then the ink starts writing. So the same concept applies in the 3D printing also. The wet polymerization, material jetting, binder jetting, these are all inkjet printing methods. Depending on the composition, if the liquid itself uh, has the capacity to bind, it is called as wet polymerization or material jetting. If we need an external binder so that we can have a binded tablets, it is called as binder jetting. But if a drug is not compatible in liquid form, we can have a powder form, and that powder form can be converted into a particular shape of tablets, depending using a 3D printer where a laser technique is involved. So before this powder is supposed to be printed, it will undergo, through a heating process where it is melted, and once it comes out, it will be, printed by layer by layer, layer by layer, layer by layer, and hence you can get a design whatever you want. Now, all this design, of course, nobody can do it alone. You need somebody who is well expert with CAD, computer aided design. So anybody who is capable of with a computer aided design, possibly he can design, and then the command can be sent to the printer, and the printer will print. So there is, interdisciplinary role. We can't do everything all alone. Even with a polymer, which polymer are supposed to be printed, there are few things which has been done, and we need somebody who is specialized with material science, which will help us to do to check exactly which polymer can be used. So it's still at a primitive stage as far as the drug deliveries is concerned. But to me, I feel that it has got a lot potential, and possibly in near future, we are going to have something called a 3D printer for every household. Okay, so we'll see some of the literature which has been done. So this guy, Janina, has been able to do a flexible doses of caffeine and loperamide. I'm sorry, I can't show you the picture because that is beyond, that's copyrighted. So I can't show you the picture exactly what they have done. So, but you can refer to this particular research exactly. So what they have done is they have made, a layer tablet. A layer tablet is done with the help of inkjet, and depending on the individual requirement of a patient, they have managed to do a combination of caffeine and loperamide. So this is quite possible, but there was an issue. The issue is the tablets are too fragile. Now, this is what exactly the issue is supposed to be uh, actually looked into, so that we can get a tablet which is as hard as a normal compressed tablet. So there are avenues, and I think uh, if time goes, possibly we can have a tablet which is very similar. Now they did try to address this issue by getting a flexibility in terms of density. Okay, so they did try to print a tablet which is less dense. Probably they had a bigger pose, and to a tablet which is doesn't have a pose. And there was a big difference in terms of release. So the one which was having larger pose, of course, will be having a faster release as compared to the one which was, totally filled up tablets. So the totally filled up tablets was also not up to the mark exactly what it should be, or what exactly a compressed tablet is, because compression involves a huge amount of force. So far, it has not been possible for any of the researcher to get a hardness of the tablet to that extent. This is another research in which they have fabricated paracetamol tablets, and they have fabricated paracetamol tablets of different geometries. So that is very important. Now they have a paracetamol tablet of a mesh type, they have a paracetamol tablet of a ring type, and they have a solid tablets. So this variety of tablets is actually very good for pediatrics. I can understand, because we are doing a particular research where exactly uh, pediatric dose delivery is of a concern, because children doesn't like to have drugs. So if we can have different kind of shapes, possibly at our home, so there is every possibility that this uh, non-compliance can be easily addressed. The 3D printed tablets with this extrusion-based techniques, possibly which is a fusion method, if I can say in a layman language, it is same as a laser printer technique. So they were able to do a tablet which can qualify based on the US pharmacopoeia requirement, but possibly that US pharmacopoeia requirement was more for a oro dispersible tablet. So that's why it is understood that the hardness has not been so good so far as I have seen. Because we are doing quite a few things at the moment. We are trying to do some kind of polymers, and I'll speak on it later during the talk. Now, this is another research which shows we can have a channel tablet. Now this channel tablet can have varied release. It can have a release which is sustained. It can have a release which is faster. And if you can see the content, it is almost the same what exactly we use for our normal compressed tablets. This is hydrochlorothiazide is the drug. Udratid is a sustained release polymer. Cross carbonyl sodium is a super disintegrant. Sodium starch glycolate is a super disintegrant. Polyplasdone XL is a super disintegrant. And all the powder was mixed. It was melted, and once the melted state, when it came out, it was solidified. So the transition of the melting and solidification is important, because that is the only way that we can infuse the hardness to the melted tablets or to the printed tablets. So, but it has been possible that we can have a sustained release tablet, we can have a controlled release tablet, we can have a fast dissolving tablet. Okay, this is another test research which was done with ibuprofen, and here ibuprofen solubility was increased by forming a solid dispersion, and this solid dispersion was also formed with the help of extrusion technique using a 3D printer, where a filament of ibuprofen and a combination of HPMC was formed. Now, if you have these kind of things, probably the mixture is very genuine. It's very accurate. There is no chance that we can say that HPMC is left behind or the drug is left behind. Whatever mixture you weigh, you add into the 3D printer, everything is supposed to be printed in a very fixed manner. So the mixture is very important, and so far I haven't seen that the drug content has been varied in any of the 3D printed tablets. Now, this is the tablet which has been approved by FDA. So this is Spiritam, which contains levetiracetam. It's an anti-epileptic drug. They have patented the technique called as zip dose technology. If you happen to see the tablet, look-wise, it is not very good. It looks very perforated. So the shape is not a problem, but yeah, the look is a problem if you compare with the normal tablets. That titanium look is still not possible at the moment with 3D printed tablets. But what exactly is happening is they have managed to have a 1000 milligram dose for each tablet. And this 1000 milligram tablet dose, normally when we say in industries, it is very tough to have a dosage, a drug having 1000 milligram. The way it is supposed to be manufactured, 1000 milligram is tough to do. But with 3D printing technique, there is not an issue. What exactly it has been done is that the tablet has been printed as layer and layer, and that is where the perforations come in. So we don't have a tablet all at all. So it keeps on writing, and it will form until, depending exactly what kind of shape and size has been defined by the computer-aided design software, it will help you to print a tablet. So far, it is available in the market. It is our Oro disposable tablet. Mind it, I have said the hardness is still to be addressed, and that is the reason they have done with the Oro disposable tablet, and it is used in the treatment of epilepsy at the moment. Where the future is. So I see the future of 3D in bioprinting. If we are able to address and classify our phenotype, possibly we can actually print a cell, which is actually possible. We can have a cell, and we can have a multiplication of cell by various techniques in a bioreactor. So those cells can be changed into a printing cartridge, and then we can define the shape, and possibly the cells and tissues and even organs can be printed. It has been done. I think within 1 or 2 years, it is supposed to be checked for clinical trials. But the issue is, whatever cells, tissue, and organ has been done, it is still without nucleus. So it does need something live so that it can have a nucleus. So that is the thing which the researchers need to address. So I'm not working on bioprinting method, but as far as my reading goes, possibly within an year or two, possibly the companies which are doing, I think if you can go to this website, you will have an idea exactly. They are in the process of doing a clinical trial within a year or two. The other area which I see this 3D printing is going to be very effective is in uh, printing a stent. So this CSIRO is an Australian company. They're already doing it. Their stent is under clinical trial. They have been using this clinical this stent for the peripheral vein blockade, which is quite common in Australians, and hence they intended to devise a biodegradable stent for individualized use. Now the stent is of a particular size and shape, so it is not necessary that size and shape may be fit for, now it's, I mean, fit for all. So if possible, if we are able to print a stent depending on our need, and then possibly it will give a better outcome. Genetic materials for vaccines and sera is possible, but still under scrutiny. I don't know exactly if we can print a body part, but if we do, then possibly it's a landmark changes. This technique called as lab on chip, it contains a device which has been used to filter cancer cells, and this device has been used uh, possibly to filter cancer cells from the blood, and especially if those cancer cells which has become malignant, normally it is very tough for the present diagnosis to check exactly if the malignancy is already there or not. So this bioprinting technique, this whatever the filter they have designed, has the ability to actually, it was laminated with an antigens, and those antigen actually happen to stick all those cancer cells, and hence and once the filter was removed, we can actually identify which kind of cancer cells are there. So there are various avenues where people are working, not only with drug delivery system, but also biotechnology, and hence that particular option is called as bioprinting. What we are doing at the moment, we are our intention is to have a functionalized polymer, and our aim is to have a surface modified polymer. Now, why we require a surface modified polymer? So probably the surface modified polymer will help us in drug targeting. Now we are trying to print polycaprolactone, beta cyclodextrin, and polylactic acid, and for all these things, uh, the surface is modified. Sorry, I won't be able to show the picture because we are still in the process and still under communication, so I won't be able to discuss the detail what exactly we have done. But once the publication comes in, possibly I'll be able to share exactly. But I have got a very big team. So myself, I'm working on beta cyclodextrin. So I've got a very big team, and we are all working in tandem. My colleague, who is supposed to be a material science engineer, so he's the one actually who's helping us to modify the surface properties of the beta cyclodextrin and polycaprolactone. So that's all. That's a very small presentation for me, just to introduce exactly what is 3D printing. So this is exactly where are we. So if there is any questions, you please, the floor is open for questions. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Feroz, you can ask participants if they have any questions or not. To start with, Dr. Tahir, thank you so much for enlightening us with some of the very, kind of niche and cool technology that are coming in. I think 3D printing is going to invade every facet of our life, and medicine cannot be far behind, as they say. But where do you see the technology coming in the near future in terms of the use of that in masses, and what are the time frames that you're looking at, essentially?
As far as our discussion in the lab is concerned, there are few industries which are working on in, and possibly the fastest thing what exactly I look at it is a biofilm, which is supposed to be oro dispersible film. Because if you happen to do a research, you can find plenty of articles of 3D printed dosage form, but you will find either it is oro dispersible tablets or a biofilm. So possibly we are going to have a biofilm which is uh, personalized and accurate in terms of dosage. As far as the 3D printer is concerned, the only concern is at the moment, like example, if I speak of FDA, they are there to regulate what exactly we are printing. Okay, they are not regulating the printer itself. So once there is a regulating body for the printer, so possibly I see that this is going to happen in every household. And at the moment, my colleague, which I have, who is working, he's having his own printer, and he does his own chocolate. So he's printing his chocolate. He's giving it to children's, and I also ate those chocolate, and it was, there was no difference with the chocolate. So it has already into every household, but as a food item, so far as a printing of medicine, I don't see that it won't be possible in the coming 5 years. But I am very hopeful that in the coming 5 years it is possible, because the printer which he is using is just for, if I speak in terms of rupees, it's just 25,000. So it's not very costly also.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think in our mechanical department, we also have a printer. So pretty much, I think that the printer and the cost of the printing of having a 3D printer is dramatically going down exponentially. So I think that is where I think Professor Swati is asking, is this technology going to be affordable for the common man? So I think that is what you were referring to as the cost of printers going down. Do you want to answer to
Yeah,
that?
it is. It is going. The only issue which I see is the cartridge.
Hmm.
The cartridge, for example, if I refer to the one which we are using to print chocolates, the only issue is that we can't use any other cartridge apart from the printer, the company exactly which has done the printer, and the cartridge is quite costly. The whole printer was around 1,000, but the cartridge is $80. So
Hmm.
so that's exactly where the cost comes in. So
Quite
if
right.
we are able to have our own cartridge, exactly what exactly we are doing with the printer right now, so maybe if we have generic cartridge, then maybe yeah, it will be very cheap.
Yes. So we have a lot of, obviously, there are a lot of pharmaceutics faculty out here. I'll start asking, one of our own faculty, and then we can open it up to others also. It's open up. So we have Professor Maria, we have Professor Salman Beg. These are young faculty in pharmaceutics, and having a strong research interest. So either one of you can unmute yourself and have any questions for Dr. Tahir. Professor Maria is there.
Good
Okay.
evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, madam.
Uh, yes, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Tahir for such a wonderful talk. And really, sir, like the 3D printing is coming up like one of the new eras of research. So I would like to ask, like, how is it cost effective when, like, on a large scale, how it could be implemented even for small scale entrepreneurs and manufacturers in India?
See, at the moment, exactly, if I speak in terms of costing, it is costly at the moment, because the technology, any technology which is new will be very costly. If you can just refer to the cell phone and hand phone, we used to have a hand phone which was very costly. The smartphone, when it came, it was very costly. Now you can have a smartphone for 4,000 or 5,000 rupees. So once the technology comes in, and we have few players, and possibly the cost is going to go down. As far as the drug deliveries is concerned, we don't have a lot of printers which does that, because it requires, at the moment, it requires specialized people who can do, you know uh, and also, as far as the printer is concerned, it is supposed to come with a cartridge. So the cartridge is too costly at the moment. The cartridge, which is for general use for printing film, a normal film, it's too costly at the moment. But as time goes, possibly I think the cost is going to get down, because uh, when we bought the printer, what exactly we have is almost, when we bought, is almost like 3 times what exactly we could have done now. So I feel that the cost is going to come down in due course of time. Yeah.
But in terms of the
Thank you so much, sir.
regulation, yes, thank you, Professor Maria. Professor Salman, you're next online. So, in terms of regulation, so how do you envision that? Obviously, I mean, you're not expecting people to be printing their own tablets. Obviously, there are a whole issue of in terms of technicalities, ethics, and proper control over that. So it will be still going. You're thinking of mass printing as such, and but then what's the benefit that it adds to compared to uh, the regular technology that we have as of now?
The only thing which exactly I see, of course, like the present if I refer to the tableting technology, the present tableting technology may be replaced. I don't say it is going to replace, but may be replaced if somebody would like to have an high-end tablets, which is more precise. If I break a tablet and every tablet, half of the tablet is 250 milligram, which is not insured now. But if somebody would like to have a tablet which is highly precise, possibly 3D printing is an answer to that. Now, coming back to the household printing, I don't think so that it is possible at the moment. The only thing which exactly we see and what we can assume is the pharmacist would be selling the cartridge. So there is a possibility that people will be having a 3D printer, but possibly the cartridge would not be as easy to get exactly as it is now. I mean, to get a tablet right now. So print a tablet. So the cartridge would be the one which is going to lead the market. I don't think so. Printer is going to be a problem. Once the printer is regularized, probably if some kind of regulation comes in and they define exactly how the printer is supposed to behave and what are the things, terms and conditions, exactly how the printer is supposed to be done. But most regulation is required on the cartridge, because that exactly where the things comes off. So to me, exactly, I think the cartridge is going to play a major role, and there are players which have started speaking exactly that they want to be the cartridge rather than making the printer itself. Yeah.
So I think you can even think of something of a big chains or retail pharmacist having those printers, and people going there and getting those rather than having it manufactured from the companies, rather than getting it just printed right then and there essentially and getting
Yeah,
dispensed.
and this cartridge will be done by the pharmaceutical companies which are exactly doing the tablets at the moment. So they are
Exactly.
going to be there. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Dr. Firoz has a question in terms of applications of 3D printing in the synthesis of drugs. Any literature on that, or people are working on that? Any thoughts?
Yeah. Because what exactly the thing is, the best example which I can give is the cotton county. If you see the cotton county, so is the fibers exactly which is responsible to make the county, the candies. So the same kind of concept is applied here. You have, there are electrospinning fibers which will be, generated and will be printed layers by layers. So I don't think so that there is any, making a drug. Possibly, I think so. It is possible if we are able to have somebody who is very good with computer-aided drug design, which can design exactly how the molecule is supposed to interact. So I think so. I mean, I don't say no, but yeah, the possibility is there.
Great,
I,
thanks. Professor Sankalp is asking about the drug stability during the 3D printing.
at the moment, stability has not been done. Whatever uh, formulations we have, and even if you see the literature as far as the formulation is concerned, especially the solid dosage form, it is mostly orodispersible. You can find few of them which are sustained release, but sustained release formulation is tough because the tablets is too weak at the moment. So as far as the stability is concerned, yeah, it is concerned in terms of storage. But as far as the release is concerned, I don't find it to be a possible, I mean, impossibility, because what exactly we can do, we can print microparticles and then do a capsule. So it's not possible for us to have a sustained release tablet. But yeah, the stability of those micro capsules, exactly how long it is going to stay in that particular stage is a concern. So that is the reason we don't have a lot of literature where the tablet is so hard as the one which is a compressed tablet. Yep.
Professor Salman is asking in terms of any monographs that's mentioning any regulations for 3D printing. I don't think we have any,
No,
I
so
guess.
far nothing. So far nothing.
It's very early.
The only tablet in the market we have is Piratam. Yeah, that's all.
Right. Abu Sufyan is asking in terms of the future pharmacists and medical stores start keeping 3D printer and dispensing medicines. I think that's what I think we
Yeah,
mentioned a couple of
yeah,
minutes back.
it-
We can have a huge printer or something like that. We can envision a facility where people come in and you get that
that,
dispensed out essentially.
that's the possibility, and I think exactly that's the space where exactly the world is moving at the moment. Yeah.
So, in terms of Dr. Tahir, I mean, compared to the regular manufacturing, I mean, is there any specific niche area that we can really leverage the 3D printing for something that we are not able to do now? Do you imagine some scenario where that
Uncle.
really coming to a benefit?
See, as
Yes, sir.
uh, okay, as far as the 3D printing, the advantages of 3D printing is concerned, what exactly I feel when I started doing, uh, when we started putting up the polymers and managing the surface properties of the polymers, we saw that whatever we can do in a synthetic way, we had a better polymer. The definition is much better for the polymer which is 3D printed rather than the synthetic polymer. Because if we assume that a particular molecule is going to attach on the surface and without any conformation, we start doing a nanoparticle or a microparticle and we do a formulation, possibly we don't get the results. That chance, that hit and trial chances have been minimized a lot. We were able to modify the surface of beta cyclodextrin with one of the ingredients so that we can have a lung targeting, and that is quite possible. And we were at ease. We don't have to do a reaction where exactly the surface modification is done, and then we need to confirm exactly if the surface modification is done. What exactly we did is we had a CAD design, and we insisted that a CAD design that where exactly the molecules is going to go and get entangled. So that's exactly what the CAD person has done, and he has been able to do that. And we have a polymer which is exactly very well defined. So I think the system is going to be more precise and much controlled.
Makes sense. Very interesting. Uh, any other faculty members would like to unmute and ask any questions? I mean, it's a very interesting and a very kind of futuristic work of science that is coming up in the next decade or so. So it's a good opportunity to pick Dr. Tahir's brain here for some futuristic ideas. You can type it. You can unmute yourself. This way, we also know that you're listening to it, I guess. Professor Madhuri Gaikwad has just joined in. Professor Madhuri, do you have any questions for Dr. Tahir? Essentially, Professor Madhuri is a faculty in a pharmaceutics department at our campus. Can you hear us? So, as just as a side question, Dr. Tahir, I mean, you interact with some of the best labs out there, and I can see that in Malaysia, different academic campuses have collaborative spaces. Where do you see the whole research of the drug delivery systems going on? I mean, we see a lot of the whole nano system coming in, and there's a lot of modification science going on, essentially. So, as a person who's actively looking into some very futuristic areas of research, what advice and pointers do you have for the faculty here who are into drug delivery systems?
Uh, See, now exactly what the world is moving is it's actually is moving towards more precise drug delivery system. For example, if we speak in terms of nano, so we are doing a nano which is exactly able to target the disease. So there exactly we are moving. So then the polymer chemistry comes into play. So we need to have a very good knowledge of polymer exactly. The chemical structure is supposed to be very, very clear so that we may, the moment we look at the chemical structure, we can think exactly what kind of polymer is this and what kind of modification we can do. So, and there has to be an interdisciplinary research. We can't do it all alone. So I feel it because our group is quite strong in terms of, interdisciplinary activities. My group, we have a chemist who is very strong in QSR, who is doing all the kind of permutation combinations with. Is it audible?
Yes, you're audible, perfectly audible, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So who does a permutation combination so that we get a very modified polymer. I'll just give an example. We were able to synthesize a manosylated polymer, which is capable of actually targeting lung cancer cells. So there exactly we are moving it, and we didn't have any issue in doing that because we have done all those things on a 3D printer. So those synthetic manufacturing and those synthetic pathway has been reduced to a larger extent as far as the whole theory of synthesizing a polymer is concerned. So looks like we are moving in a direction where I think we can have a very personalized and a very targeted drug delivery system. I don't see the current system dying because even if you speak of cancer treatment, uh, there is highly there are drug targeted system which is available in the market, but the people are not able to afford. So it's on the higher end exactly where the system is going. So I feel that the present system will be alive as it is, but possibly those who can afford this kind of systems will be into it. Yeah.
Yes, great, thank you. Professor Salman wants to ask a question. Salman, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, yes, I'm Salman Beg. So, regarding this 3D printing of a tablet or other formulations, I think it is more feasible in the research purpose for at a laboratory scale. But when it comes to the 3D printing for manufacturing the large batches, what do you think that is it feasible for a large scale manufacturing, also in term of a tech transfer? So, is it
Uh, yeah. So if you speak in terms of bulk manufacturing, it is possible. There are printers which have there are continuous batch 3D printers. You can have tablet printed, and the tablet will be packed and then it will be sent out. So I don't see there is any impossibility into it. There is every possibility that there would be certain industries who would be going into it. Uh, because there are companies who are doing a continuous 3D printer where the drug will enter and a final packed material will be dispensed. So I don't see any impossibility. There's every possibility that these things are going to happen. At the moment, it is at a very primitive stage because the cost involved is quite heavy. The kind of 3D printer and the maintenance which is involved is quite heavy at the moment. So I don't think so at the moment it will start doing, any company will start doing. But within 5 to 10 years down the lane, I think there would be few companies. We already have one in the market, and that is from 2015. So that Spiratam is not a recent molecule. It was done in 2015, and it has been working very fine. And particularly those delivery systems which are supposed to be categorized as a sublingual tablets or fast dissolving tablets. So they have got a very good chance. The company have got a very good chance to do formulation in this particular field. Yeah. So I think so in coming year, 10 years or so, it is a possibility.
Great, thank you. Dr. Nigat Farhana, she's her own faculty. She's her expertise into medicinal chemistry and synthetic chemistry. She talks about whether 3D printing can replace spectroscopy analysis of drug, meaning if we synthesize the molecule, can we predict the
No.
structures exactly?
No, actually, the spectroscopy is an analytical technique, and this is a method of production. So I don't feel that even those dosage form which has been produced by a 3D printer has to undergo all those analytical techniques. So spectroscopy has to be there. Yeah.
Right. Professor Sankalp Gaurav is talking about hardness control in 3D printing tablets, and how is the process for that?
Yeah, if you happen to do a research, you will see that there have been a research where binder have been used, and to an extent, the hardness has been improved. So you can always improve the hardness by increasing the binder. So and that is a possible. But so far, the hardness which I have seen is not as comparable as the one which we have in a compressed tablet. Yeah.
Right. Professor Ajaz wants
can
to.
we Yes.
Yes, yes, Salman. Good, good. Sorry.
Yes. Can we have a design patent for a 3D printed tablet if we do research on that and if we create our own design? So can we go for a design patent if you have any idea?
Yeah, it's very possible, it's very possible if you have some kind of things, which you have your own design. For example, if you come up with a biscuit having a paracetamol, why not? There is every possibility. Yeah.
So Professor Ijaz is asking an interesting question. He wants to move from 3 to 4. So he's asking about 4D printing is also emerging. So what exact advances are there compared to 3D, especially in
You see,
transformations?
whether you call it 3D or 4D, it carries the same meaning. Okay. So to me, exactly 4D is just a theoretical thing. Whatever we can't have a 4D space live. So still a 3D space. So to me, still it's just theoretical at the moment.
Right.
Whatever we're doing is just a 3D printing. It's just I mean, I don't see there is any difference between 4D and 3D. It's just using few more things and then it becomes 4D. Yeah.
4D. You when I hear your research essentially, and you've brought up a very interesting topic about, and which is also a theme of our, it is basically multidisciplinary. So in our country, basically, as researchers and PIs are very focused on their own field. Essentially, if I'm a pharmaceutical person, I'm very focused into drug delivery. If I'm a chemist, I'm looking very specifically into chemistry area. But as you mentioned, you're talking about teams and you're talking about collaborative teams. What's your piece of advice for the young researchers here in the audience in terms of building a collaborative and a multidisciplinary team for their work?
What I feel is, I mean, I can't do things all alone, and the same was exactly what the feeling of my colleagues. So to me, what exactly I would advise everybody to have a team. Exactly, you can work in a team. You can't do it all alone. Oh, uh, I'm working with a friend, Dr. Farooq, who is in Monash. I'm working with Dr. Shahnaz, who is a microbiologist. He's working in a different university, and in Nottingham, we have a very big team, almost 8 to 10 persons. We call it as a nanotechnology research group, and in that nanotechnology research group, if you happen to go to the website, you'll see you have people from chemistry, you have people from material science, you have people from drug formulation, you have people from pharmacology, and we all have managed to get a grant also. So unless and until you do, multidisciplinary work, you won't be able to get a grant if you would like to do a research and get a grant. Uh, Alone, if I say I'm going to do a nano particles, so that is not going to attract attention nowadays. I need to have a nanoparticle which have some kind of qualities where it is going to improve the current regimen. So possibly it is not possible for me to do all alone. You need a pharmacologist. You need a person who is very good, well versed in polymer science. You need somebody who is very well versed in chemistry. So unless and until you have a team, you build up a team, possibly you're going to do great. Yeah.
Yes, makes sense. Fantastic. I mean, I think this is where the entire the the whole nature of the research is going, where you have these big teams. I mean, you can see that with NIH and other big institutions who are the biggest funding agencies of the world. And if you are a single PI, obviously your grant is 100% going to be rejected unless until you have multiple PIs with multiple expertise. So I think that is where, and I still remember my days in US where you had, we had core engineers getting appointed at associate professor into medical school. So multidisciplinary, and fusing in different sciences. Only then I think you can come up, I think, with a good translatable research as such. I mean, something which is done in very silo, I think it doesn't go any far. Just all that gets you is just few publications, I guess. Uh,
Yeah,
any
we also we have a person with a material science background in pharmacy discipline, and we also have a person with a I know data analytics, big data analytics. He's also working with us, so we need to have a diverse team. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Professor Jayashree Patil is asking in terms of any interface required to move from CAD to 3D printing for synthetic aspects. She's a medicinal chemist and by training.
That I don't know exactly because that is more on the person who is doing the CAD. So I can't answer
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. I don't think as any other further questions here. Uh, if there are, we have time, a minute or so where people can post if there's anything. If not, then I'll hand it over to Dr. Feroz. Before he sends up the final wrapping for the day, we just want to remind you all, the dear faculty, that tomorrow will be the last day essentially of this 1 week workshop. Essentially, we have two good, very interesting speakers who will be coming in tomorrow. We have Dr. Rana Rais, who is coming from Johns Hopkins University. She's an associate professor for urology and also heads the drug discovery division in Johns Hopkins. A very talented young researcher. So she'll be talking about a good experience of hers in terms of bringing molecules from bench to bedside. And she herself, along with her PIs, have brought one or two molecules, out-licensed them for almost $40 million in cumulative funding. So very exciting work that they've done, and she'll be sharing that tomorrow. And also we'll be having Dr. Kafil. He's the CEO of Resino Biotech, and he'll be sharing his experience on monoclonal antibodies, which his company are developing right now for COVID-19. So very exciting, cutting-edge science works that we'll be sharing tomorrow. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Feroz for the next proceedings. Over to you, Dr. Feroz.
Thank you, Dr. Taid sir, for such a nice presentation and holistically answering all the questions asked by our participants. Thank once again, sir. Thank you all. Feedback and attendance link is already released in chat box. You are requested to give feedback of the event. See you tomorrow for the next exciting session.
Just another note, and we'll try to make it very sharp tomorrow. So 5:05 we'll get started so that we all can benefit from it. So if you're on time, essentially, that will be great. Thank you so much. Thank you all. You have a good evening.